Greetings one, greetings all. Welcome to the Mad Poet Show. Thank you for being here. I am the Mad Poet. You are an audience. We are the Mad Poet Society. And I need to call my lighting crew in. First thing, we've already got our first rogue light of the day. Lighting crew activate. I also noticed that one of my lights isn't plugged in. That's not a big deal. I'm not even going to worry about that one. So, Murder Metal show today. We're playing Murder Terminology right now. We're going to do 3 full albums. Playing Murder Terminology. We're going to switch over to An Innocent Assassin. And then we're going to finish it off with The Patron Saint of Murderers. My 3 albums that reference that kind of stuff in the title. Murder Metal. I don't remember the name of that first song, but wasn't it fun? Yes, it was. I do know the name of this next song because it's up on my screen right now. In E-Locrian, diminished mode, we are playing Sacrificed in Thy Mirror. Starting to get worked up here right away. Gotta stay hydrated. Drink your water. Had pizza for breakfast this morning. Sarah had a hamburger for breakfast this morning. Because that's how we do things out here, kind of backward. We're planning on pancakes for dinner. And there is nothing wrong with that. Food does not have to have a particular time of day to be good. Hamburgers are awesome for breakfast. And pizza is awesome for breakfast. Wonder what else I can talk about other than guitars and pizza. Is there anything other than guitars and pizza? I've heard people say things like, talk about something that's not a guitar or a pizza, and it's almost like they're taking themselves seriously or something. I'm like, I don't even understand where you're coming from here. This is just nonsense. I'm weird people. Nonetheless, this next song is called The Winter of Terror. So I sometimes think I may have just a slight bit of dyslexia. I love reading. I read daily. It's a rare day that I don't read. I mean, that's like really rare. Just about as rare as a day that I don't play guitar. It's like it rarely happens. But I was looking at this, and there's a little notification here, and in my brain, I thought it said Manilos Bribos is live, which makes no sense because Manu's thing shouldn't show up on my chat. And then I realized it says Randolph the Mad Poet is live, but it has an M in it. So I must have gotten those wires crossed. And if you've never heard Manilos Bribos, Manilos Bribos, this guy is so cool. He's a Greek gentleman, and he's this super deep baritone. He does cover tunes and originals. Sometimes he sings in his native language of Greek, and it sounds just amazing. Absolutely check him out on Twitch. He is so good. I watch his streams, not all the time, but it's not uncommon for me to throw on some Manny Bribos and just chill out. Very, very cool stuff. You don't see very many people with that deep and that low of a probably down in the bass range, probably below baritone. He's so low on his voice, and it's just very rich and great stuff. Very cool guy too. Very cool. Really like Manny. So, yes. So sometimes my eyes don't work right. I know there's a little bit of dyslexia in my family. I know my brother's got it a little bit to the point that he doesn't care for reading as much, and so yeah, it can be a little wonky. Because every once in a while I'll see stuff like that. I used to work at a aircraft manufacturer. I will not say their name so they can maintain their anonymity, but they're one of the companies that makes large passenger and cargo jet airliners in Western Washington. So, want them to be anonymous. But one time I was walking out from work, and I saw this big container, and it said 747 drooling. And I looked again, and it said 747 door linings. And I'm like, that makes a lot more sense. Door linings. Much more sense. Anyway. Dyslexia is fun. Check out Manilos Bribos. I need to change something here. There's one thing I forgot to turn on. Shouldn't really affect anything for you guys so much, but it'll make my life an awful lot easier. Boom. Cool. That's just my count in. Doesn't go through to the live stream, but it goes through my speakers and makes it much easier for me to turn on, to come into my song the correct time. All right, Dance of Annihilation, let's do this. DudeMan76 just donated $1 on DLive. Thank you very much. And DudeMan says, keep up the great work, my friend. Thank you. I appreciate it. Glad you are enjoying the show. And thank you very much for the tip on DLive. Still really liking the DLive platform. For those who may be new out there, not familiar with what we do, I am the Mad Poet. You are an audience. We are the Mad Poet Society. If you like what you hear, you like what you see, you like what you smell, feel free to check out the madpoet.net, repository of all things Mad Poet. All 66 of my albums are available for free on my website. You can stream them. When we update the website, I do intend to put together a place where you can just download my entire collection for free if you want to. And of course, some people like to donate, so I do have Bandcamp, and people can also do that. And Finn is tuning in from YouTube. Good to see you, Finn. And Finn is a student of mine. In fact, he is mentioned in my newest album. He is one of my 4 students who has actually studied counterpoint, which is fairly advanced. Most students don't get to that point. And he says this is an awesome song, so thank you very much. I appreciate it. We are playing the Murder Metal Show today, playing 3 albums. We're currently playing Murder Terminology. Then we're going to switch over to An Innocent Assassin. And we're going to finish the show up with the patron saint of murderers, Murder Metal. And this next piece, thank you for tuning in. This is called The Phantom of Shame. Finn says he's got to go to work. It was cool to see me play for a bit. If you're still on, hey, thanks very much for coming in. Have a great day at work. I hope things go well. And yeah, thanks for stopping by. Always good to see you. And of course, I will see you on Monday for your lesson. I'll talk a little bit about how I'm not sure about the whole chat thing. I've got the chat mostly figured out, but there's this one chat unit that is supposed to have Twitch, YouTube, both Facebook channels, and Trovo. And it's like, it works, but I've also got to have my YouTube chat open independently. And for the last, 4 or 5 shows where people have chatted through YouTube, it has not showed up on the multi-chat. Today it is showing up on both. I don't know why. I don't get it. I'm going to continue to have the YouTube box independently open just so I don't miss things. But today it's working correctly. I wish I could, kind of pinpoint exactly where things are sitting so I know what's going on. If I could make corrections to something, I certainly would be inclined to do that. So 199G sauerkraut. Coming in from Bavaria. Thanks very much for stopping in. I don't think anyone has ever identified themselves as being from Bavaria before. Great to have you here. I hope you're enjoying the show. We are playing 3 full albums today. We're about 5 songs deep. So we're probably gonna be going for close to another 3.5 hours, would be my guess. So kick back, relax. And 199G Sauerkraut says they love metal. You're in the right place, baby. That is what we do here. Pretty much what you see here is a good representation of what I do. Currently, all of my music, I shouldn't say all of my music, all of my full-length albums are instrumental albums. I have released 66 of those. Working on albums 67 and 68 right now. I am writing some music that will potentially have vocals on it. Whether or not anyone will ever hear those other than me, that's open to question. For now, we're doing instrumentals. Yeah, I'm glad you like it. And again, no matter where you're coming in from, thank you very much. I'm streaming out to 12 different websites today. So if you're joining us from Nemo, I see we got a lot of people on Nemo. D-Live, we've got Dudeman76 coming in. We've got a few people on YouTube, on Twitch. If you're coming in from Trovo or Nono or Vaughn or Livespace, Trovo, wherever else you're coming in from, thank you very much for being here. I don't even remember all the websites I'm streaming out to. Nonetheless, 199G Sauerkraut loves metal, so let's do this. This one is called The Altar of Madness. Thank you for the compliment. 199G Sauerkraut. I've worked very hard at my guitar playing. I've been playing guitar for about 38 years now. It's something I just do every single day. And I teach for a living. I always, I give a lot of thought to the fact that most people who start playing guitar don't finish it. But that's really true of most things. Most people who set out to learn a new language or learn to, they want to do paintings or drawings or poetry or write a book. Most people don't get there. And I think it really comes down to you just really have to want it. You have to have a reason to get there. Like some people will succeed, they'll say, I'm going to write a science fiction novel. And their friend or their parent will say, oh, you can't do that. And then they'll do it just to prove that person wrong. They want it because they've got a reason to. I think that's really what it comes down to. You have to have a reason. You have to want it. So whatever it is that people want in life, I hope that they just go at it and do it. Want it. Mean it. Do it. That last song, it really reminds me of the piece that I'm going to play later called Voices of the Soulless, which is one of my favorite pieces to play for reasons I will talk about when we get there. It's just a very similar feel in parts of that song to Voices of the Soulless, which it's very interesting to me over the years of putting out my music, how I kind of start to recognize my own style in different ways, in different places. Like, the way I put that contrapuntal work into the synths on that piece reminds me of this other thing I did. And there are a lot of places where, I'll get like, influence from musicians, that I listen to or that I've learned their music. There's a lot of people pick out that there's a fairly strong Metallica influence in my playing background, which is absolutely true. People who are familiar with Blind Guardian will find some things that there's like, I could see where Randy got that from Blind Guardian or Camelot. A small festival in North Bavaria. Very cool. That's awesome. I have never been to Bavaria. What time is it in Bavaria? I only know approximately where that's at. What time is it where you are at? Let me know when you get a chance. I'm going to play some music while you look at the clock. This next song is called Forsaken Soul. And when 99G Sauerkraut says they have good beer in Bavaria, not so commercial. I believe that. When my daughter was born, she was born in Frankfurt, Germany. I was in Korea at the time. Her mother and I were both in the military. And a lot of these European areas are known for having very good beer. I've never had Bavarian beer, but I have heard of it. But Korea does not have great beer. Sorry, apologies. I love Korea. It's a great place. I had a great time over there. Not the best beer. So my daughter was born. I flew from Korea to Germany, and going from cheap Korean beer just outside of a military base to German beer was one of the most amazing things. It turned me into a beer snob. It really did. I only buy like really dark beers, a lot of the, like custom breweries and stuff, because it's just so much better. Oh, a good dark beer is a thing to behold. And that's also where I started. It's the first time I heard of a bread machine was over in Germany. My daughter's mother had one, and I'm like, what is this? And she told me about it. I'm like, that's so cool. And then it was a recipe for pizza dough with beer, and and I've been making it ever since. It's beautiful. Are you a former soldier? I am a former soldier. I served in the U.S. Army from 1990 to 1994. It was a very good experience for me. I'm really comfortable with the fact that I did not make a career out of the military. I certainly have a lot of respect for military career personnel. In fact, one of my moderators, Therese, she recently retired from 20 years in the Navy. She's doing great. Shankaria from Bamberg. The only place, I was never stationed in Germany. I was stationed in Korea, and I was stationed in a few different places in the States. My daughter was born in Würzburg, Germany, and so I went over to Würzburg a few times. She was there until she was about 3 years old. Her mother was stationed over there, so I went over there a few times, and I had a great time there. I really did. And one of the coolest experiences, when you go to Europe in general, there's all these attractions of castles out there, and they're great. They're really cool. But they're also tourist attractions, and they've got fire equipment in them, which they have to, and they got gift cards and tourist stuff. But there's this one time my daughter had just been born. She was maybe 5 weeks old, and through some other people there, we were invited to this other family's house for a barbecue. So we went out there. So we got the little baby with us, and we go out there, and after dinner, the host says, I noticed a few of you guys have 4-wheel drive trucks. Why don't we get in them, and I'll take you guys out. And so we go out, we're driving around, and this was so amazing. We leave their house, and really nice people. I'd had a great experience over in Europe. And so we drive out, and we're driving on these dirt roads, and this dirt road he takes us on turns into what used to be the moat of a castle. And this was so wild. Because this is a castle that no one ever sees. And it's not this touristy thing. It was all broken down. There was a little bit of the wall left and a little bit of the towers left. And then about half of the dungeon was intact. And we actually went down in the dungeon. No electricity. No, it's not lit. And so we had cigarette lighters. And so we're actually down in this dungeon by flame light. And we're seeing it, and there's these cubby holes where people were tortured. It was just the most wild thing. It was such a cool experience. And it's just that's something that just, like I said, most people don't ever get to see that. So that was so much better than actually touring the tourist attraction castles. They're really cool because they're old castles. But yeah, this one was pretty amazing. Würzburg. I had a great time there. And I haven't been back since, gosh, well, since my daughter was 3, so probably about 27 years, 28 years since I've been over there. But it was a good time. Travel is good. I haven't traveled in a long time, and I'm kind of done with traveling because I don't like airports and I don't like being in airplanes and all of that. And he says that they have a lot of castles in Bavaria. I bet you do. I'll bet it's pretty awesome. So that's cool. And again, thank you very much for stopping in. I love this kind of stuff. I like it when I get people, bringing up things and we can just kind of start taking off on tangents and stuff. Beautiful thing. All right. We need to get some more smoke going in here. Need to get some more music going in here. This one's called Bleeding Out. Alrighty then. So I don't know if my buddy Tom happened to make it on today. I know he was watching a couple days ago when we were doing the pizza cooking stream. That was a lot of fun. We did some slide blues guitar that day. I don't know if I'll be able to pull out the slide blues guitar today. I would like to, but I've got a 4-hour time limit on how long I can go. And that's just because of the software I'm using. It has a hard limit on it. And doing 3 hours, we'll see how it looks later on. I may pull out the slide guitar. I really want to get through the full, all 3 albums. So we'll see. I mean, it's not a huge deal either way. Nonetheless, this song is dedicated to Tom. As my regular viewers would know, I dedicate a song to someone on every album that I put out. This particular one I dedicated to my buddy Tom, who's just a super cool guy. We're going to slow it down a little bit. We're going to get into some C minor. What was my inspiration to play guitar? Asked by Sauerkraut on YouTube. Great story. Great answer to this question, I believe. So I had started playing guitar when I was 8 years old. And what initially happened there was we were at a swap meet. And, you know, people buying and selling. And, you know, I'm wandering around. I was 8 years old, and there was this guy that had a few guitars. You know, just little cheap little 6-string acoustic things. Nothing crazy going on. And one of them was for $10, and I was kind of like, oh, that's cool, all right? A little 8-year-old Randy thought that guitar was very cool. And so I go find my dad and say, you know, hey, this guy's got a guitar on sale for $10. Can I get that? And my dad says, well, if you can talk him down to where you can get it for $8, I'll let you get it. I'm like, okay, so I go back, I talk to the guy, tell him I'm 8 years old, tell him what my dad said. Of course, the guitar was probably worth like 50 cents, so it didn't really matter, you know. But he said, yeah, we can do this for $8. So I go back to my dad. I said, yeah, he'll sell it to me for $8. And so my dad gives me $8, and I go buy the guitar. And that's kind of where I got started with it. Now, the funny thing is, probably about 6 or 7 years ago, I heard my dad tell this story, and I had never heard his side of it before. So he says, you know, here comes this kid, says he wants to buy this guitar for $10. And he's like, I only had $9 in my pocket at the time, and I still needed to be able to get a burger on my way to work the next day. So I told him if he could get it for $8, that way I would still be able to eat. And then he comes back and he did it. And so I had to give him the $8. So it was really great to hear my dad's side of that story. But then I took guitar lessons for a little while. I had a couple of neighbors who kind of helped me out. And I took guitar lessons from a guy who was just an absolute jerk. He was just terrible. And so after about 4 years, I quit playing guitar. So at this point, I'd be about 12. And my parents are great. And they would always encourage me, you know, hey, you know, feel free to pick up your guitar. You know, they'd buy me guitar strings for, you know, stocking stuff for Christmas or whatever. But then when I was 17, this guy, Jeff, who I was in high school with, there was a bunch of us hanging out at my place, and he had brought over, if I recall correctly, it was a Jackson guitar, which I've got one Jackson back, you can hardly see, but my Rhodes is a Jackson. I love Jackson guitars. But he had this Jackson Silver Flake neck through body guitar, and it's probably you know, not quite what that's how I remember it. I don't know what the guitar actually was, but I you know, we were kind of passing it around. I fiddled with it, and I just, all of a sudden, the bug just bit me again. Jeff's guitar, dude, it was like some kind of little critter that just bit me and infected me. And that day, I pulled out at this point, my parents had bought my JG there, and so I pulled that out, strung it up, and started playing. Never looked back. And that's kind of the Randy starting guitar story. And so there's kind of two starts there, and it's been fun. It's been really fun. Obviously, this is something I enjoy doing. I've built myself up a bit with my light show, and like I just started a new student last week. I'll be seeing her again on Monday. And she was kind of asking me about all the stuff, and I said to her, it's like, you guys actually don't see what I consider to be the cool part of the room, which is my recording desk with, I've got my interface, and it's a really nice desk. I've got four computer monitors. I've got my audio monitors, my extra speakers. To me, this is the cool part here that you guys don't actually see. The cameras are pointing to the performance space, but this is the cool stuff. So it's been good. All right. Great question. Thank you very much. No one's ever asked me that before. That's a great one. I really like that story. So back to my friend Tom. You're going out to him in C minor. This song is called Daydreams About Nightmares. How many guitars do I own? I have 7, and there are actually 8 in the room, so I have there are 7 hanging up across the back wall here, and you can't really see it, but they're all hanging from nooses. And then this one actually on the far end here, that is Sarah's guitar that she got years ago when she was a teenager, and she doesn't play it, so I retune it and use it for practice. I use that there's a song I do called Koyambaba that has an alternate tuning, so I don't have to retune my guitar every time. I have hers tuned to that. So I have 8 in here. One of them is Sarah's, 7 of them are mine. And it says, music is better than shooting rifles. You know, I am a marksman to a small extent. Sarah and I are hunters, so we do shoot, but I don't shoot nearly as much as I play guitar. And you know, it's kind of funny. Technically, I'm a private pilot. I have my pilot's license for many years. I haven't flown for over 20 years. And I really don't have much desire to. I've been asked, why don't I like to... It's not that I don't like to fly, so why don't I fly? I said, basically, it wasn't something that I wanted to turn into a career. And between flying and guitar playing, I'd rather play guitar. And flying is great, but... it's not a guitar, baby. Good job. Maybe you can play The Power of Love from Huey Lewis. I love Huey Lewis. Unfortunately, the way I'm set up here, it's not conducive to doing any kind of cover tunes because everything has to be set up in advance. So like today I'm playing 3 albums. The reason I'm calling it the Murder Metal Show is I'm playing Murder Terminology right now. We have 1 song left on this. I'm going to switch over to An Innocent Assassin, and then I'm going to finish it up with the album The Patron Saint of Murderers. And so that's all set in advance. So, you know, if I were to play a cover tune like that, and that would be a great song to turn into a heavy metal cover tune. Huey Lewis had some really good material. Of course, those reminds me of the song, or the movie Back to the Future, because that played a part in that. But yeah, unfortunately, I'm not set up for any kind of cover tunes, or really, I mean, I'm not set. It's an interesting kind of dichotomy that all of what I'm doing is improvisational. All my guitar solos are improvisational. This is not all written out. When I play the rhythm guitars, I have sheet music in front of me that shows me what the rhythm guitars are doing because I don't have this all memorized. But yeah, it's considering how much improvisation I do, the shows I do are not very conducive to spontaneity. Because if I just want to, and even if I was like, pull up a different album, I've got these 3 albums ready to go. If I wanted to jump to a different one, that would take, you know, a good few minutes of prep work to get there. It would kind of be tough to do on the fly. Do I shoot hogs? No, we don't have hogs in the area. We hunt for deer. And the deer we have out here are mule deer. They are some of the cutest, stupidest animals you can possibly imagine. They are just absolutely adorable. And they are so stupid. I mean, they are just one of the dumbest animals imaginable. Sarah and I will go out and she's a botanist, so we'll go out in the desert. We're in Eastern Washington. We'll go out and look at plants and stuff. And on off season, we just like watching the deer. They're fantastic, but man, they're dumb. And they will run head on into a car, and then they'll be like, "What's that thing doing there?" I mean, I think deer hit car more than cars hit deer because they're just so stupid. But they're, like I said, they're freaking adorable, and particularly the young ones. Oh man. They are so cute because mule deer basically they hop a lot, and they kind of evolutionarily they branched off from I think blacktails. I don't quite recall. I think they branched off from blacktails, and so they took on some different characteristics. So they can jump like 30 feet, 35 feet or something. They're really fast, and it's hard for most predators to catch them because they're so unpredictable because they'll just hop all kinds of weird directions. Absolutely adorable, and they taste spectacular. So I know some people, are vegetarian, vegan, that's respectable. And, they find it to be a dichotomy that a person could both like an animal and be willing to kill and eat it. But I am. So, okay. Great questions. This is fantastic. We got one song left on Murder Terminology. Then we're going to switch over to An Innocent Assassin, which I have not played in a long time. This last song, so appropriate for the Murder Metal Show, is called Hatred Grows Too Slowly. So hunting in Germany is more difficult. I'm not sure what kind of regs you guys have got over with your stuff for the hunting in Germany, but probably interesting. Just considering the geography that you guys have got over there, I bet you probably have some good hunting. Okay, so let me work the change. I'm getting better at the changeover between albums. This will be my first time trying to do 2 of them. So let's get this first one going. Make sure I delete the correct things. Make sure I reinstall the correct things. So we should. Boom. Okay, that part worked. Good. Now we got to get the sheet music go. Where's my computer mouse hiding now? Here we are. So this is a part I would love to be able to automate. Clearly I automate a lot of my stuff, but this one is not automatable. As near as I can tell, this would be untenable to attempt to automate this. Okay, so we're moving into my 21st album. It is titled An Innocent Assassin. And I have not played this. Gosh, it has been probably 2 years. Year and a half, 2 years since I played this. It's been a long time. Let me just make sure I've got all the correct things where they should be correct. Okay, I think I've got everything in good shape here. What is better, Scorpions or Iron Maiden? 80s metal. Love it. Grew up on this stuff. I'm going to have to go with Iron Maiden. And I'll tell you why. The reason I like Iron Maiden more, and I like the Scorpions a lot. The Scorps had some great material. I like Iron Maiden more because Iron Maiden is where my love affair with heavy metal started. I was about 12, maybe 13. I had quit playing guitar the first time. And my older brother, I've got one brother, 2 years older than me. He came home with a friend of his and they had Iron Maiden's Number the Beast on vinyl. This would have been just around the time that album came out. And of course, if you know the album Number the Beast, you know that the cover is just really cool. And so Chris, that's my brother's friend, Ron, my brother, and my dad and I were all kind of checking out this album cover while we listened to it. And the first song that comes on is the song Number the Beast, which is brilliant. And it just twisted something up in my little 12-year-old brain, and I became a metalhead that day. I'm going to go ahead and not answer your next question, and that's only because I want this to be an apolitical zone. I prefer to not discuss politics or religion on my stream, respectfully, but it is a good question. Okay, so An Innocent Assassin. Let's do this. This first song is called Bloodstained and Screaming. is my favorite character or person from The Simpsons. Bleeding Gums McGee is my favorite Simpsons character. That is I think it's in like one of the fairly early episodes where Lisa Simpson is playing sax and she hears this saxophone from outside, so she sneaks out of the house and she goes and she meets this saxophone player on that bridge. That is Bleeding Gums McGee. I think Bleeding Gums is my favorite. And if we were looking for the main characters, then I would say Maggie, the baby. Because as much as I like Lisa Simpson, she's an awesome saxophone player and she's really smart and cool. She's kind of depressed, she doesn't have the confidence. Where Maggie, the baby, man, she's out taking care of stuff. She's like driving cars around and making friends with bears, and she's getting after it. She gets stuff done. So, yeah, Bleeding Gums McGee and Maggie. Those are my favorite two. Otto, I'm trying to remember who Otto is. It's been a long... Oh, the bus driver, he's funny, yeah. It's been a long time since I've watched anything from The Simpsons. And I haven't seen all of it. I think I've seen like the first 6 or 7 seasons. But it's a fun show. It's really fun. Love is better than hate. And one thing I've pointed out in my shows is that if a person were to judge my character based on my song titles and my album titles, you would get a very wrong impression of the person that I actually am. I mean, you'd be way, way off the mark. All right, so this next song is going out to my friend Marie. Marie, I don't know if you made it out here to see the show today. I hope you did. Marie is someone I've known since a long, long time ago, and I helped her out with some photo shoots and stuff. She's a really cool gal. And Marie Ventris, Ventris, you should check her out on YouTube. She's also an author. I've read her first book. I think she has 2 or 3 out now. I should probably catch up on those. Really fun stuff, kind of fantasy novel type stuff. And she's just a super cool gal. And I think she really appreciates things like the title of this song. This is also an interesting song, because it's not strictly in 4/4. It starts out, the intro section of it actually starts in 7/4, which is a little less common. And it goes into 4/4 and kind of switches back and forth. Pretty fun. Many people are too over something. I'm not sure what that word means, so I'll have to take your word on it. And Guitarista Habista, I don't know if I said that correctly. Says hi from Brazil. We got Bavaria and Brazil coming in today. How awesome is that? Welcome to the show. Thank you very much for being here. If anyone is unfamiliar with me out there, if you're just coming in, if you're new to my show, I am the Mad Poet. You are an audience. We are the Mad Poet Society. Today we're playing the Murder Metal Show. We just finished my 48th album, which is titled Murder Terminology. We're now into my 21st album, which is titled An Innocent Assassin. And then we're going to finish the show up with my 55th album, which is titled The Patron Saint of Murderers. Oh, it means superficial. Yes. A lot of people are very superficial. That is absolutely true. This is one of the reasons I like being an introvert and just staying home all the time. All right. So nonetheless, yes, no matter wherever you're coming in from, whatever website you're tuning in from, whatever country you're tuning in from, whatever time it is where you are at, welcome to the show. We're going to get this song going. This is going out to my friend Marie. This song is called 18 Iron Chains to Bind the Wicked King. We got some crazy comments going on YouTube. Thank you very much for coming in, everybody. This is great. This has been a very fun show. And let's see what's going on here. It's been Hope from Brazil on UK. Denny Stokes from UK says, just stumbled across you. Thank you. I'm glad you did. I hope you enjoy this. Looks like we've got some metalheads coming in internationally here. This is fantastic. Guitarista Habista. Again, I hope I'm saying that right. No offense if I pronounce anyone's names or usernames incorrectly. Brazil has a big community of metal guitar. Yeah, that is true. Brazil is kind of a metal hub. There's a band there I used to listen to a bit called Chinchilla. And I learned of Chinchilla. I am writing a song about Jack the Ripper's great-granddaughters, continuing his legacy. The song will be wacky. It'll be like an hour and a half long. It's already an hour's worth of material, and I'm not even close to finished. And so I looked up all kinds of songs about Jack the Ripper, and Chinchilla is one that I came with. Great stuff out there, yeah. Just saw Stuttgart. Very metallic. Oh, Wooden Tank, good to see you, buddy. Thanks for coming back in. We got a whole bunch of new people with us today. It's great to see some old faces as well, even though I cannot see your faces. South America have big metal heart. Yep, that is, yeah. What are my favorite metal bands? I tend to be very much in the power metal arena. As I mentioned earlier, my love affair with heavy metal started when I was introduced to Iron Maiden by my older brother and his friend. I'm really big. Blind Guardian and Camelot. Those are two of my really big time favorites. Sirenia I really like. That is, if you know Tristania, Morton Veland, who founded Tristania, ended up, after he parted ways with them, he went and founded Mortimia, which is a solo thing, and then the band Sirenia. That stuff is freaking awesome. I'm kind of drawing a blank all of a sudden. I'd have to look through my collection. The funny thing, I've been listening to a lot of old-time jazz lately. Sarah and I have a record player upstairs, and we'll sit down and eat, and we'll put a record on. And so I've been listening to a lot of Billie Holiday and Louis Armstrong, Glenn Miller, Harry James, and a lot of old jazz stuff. So suddenly I'm drawing a blank on all the metal bands. But those are definitely some, you can't go wrong with Blind Guardian. One thing I've said about jazz, if a person wants to get into jazz and they say, hey, Randy, where should I start with jazz? I say, listen to the album Kind of Blue by Miles Davis. And if you don't like that, just give up on jazz. And you can say, there are some great metal albums. You could say, listen to Night at the Opera by Blind Guardian, and if you don't like that, give up on power metal, because it ain't gonna work. You could also say the same thing about The Black Halo by Camelot. It's like, if you don't like The Black Halo, you probably just don't like metal. It's gonna be tough to go up from there. Making a gig with me with my guitar in your live. Cool, yeah, hey, absolutely. If you're out there, if you got an instrument, feel free to play along. Pull out your guitars, your violins, your euphoniums, your trumpets, and play along. If you're ever curious about the key, just pop it in there. The next song's gonna be in B minor for those who want to play along on their saxophones and their slide trombones. What does the signal for your guitar sound now? Okay, so the signal chain for my guitar, I am using all amplifier simulators. I do have a really nice amp set up over in the corner that I've had for years, and I don't think the lights show it. No, I can't even see it with the naked eye. I've got my 412 cabs back here. Those are homemade. I made those in the late 90s. And I've got a Mesa Boogie Triaxis preamp over here that are really hard to find these days. And an old PV 5050 power amp that's been really solid for me for years. But my live rig right now, so I'm using a wireless system. And that allows me a little more freedom to move around so I don't end up tripping all over my cables. I do have to keep an eye on my batteries on these longer shows. I should have plenty for this show today. And so that goes into a Focusrite Scarlett 18i20 interface. And that goes into, I use Reaper as a recording software, which is a very common one. Very powerful piece of software. I've been using Reaper for a long, long time, probably for 12, 14 years I've been using Reaper. I'm really happy with that. And so in that, my signal chain is, I use the Ignite Amplifiers Anvil. The Ignite Amplifiers, the Emissary is really popular. It's really well known. But another one that's less well known and also free is the Anvil, and that's a preamp. So then you also have to use a power amp simulator with it. And so I use also by Ignite amps the TPA1, two power amplifier dashes. So the Anvil into the TPA1, and then I use the 2 Notes Torpedo Wall of Sound cabinet simulator. And that is a paid one, but it's pretty inexpensive. All you have to do to get that is you have to pay for one of the cabs, which are usually, I think they're like $10. So that's pretty inexpensive. And then I run 2 separate EQs after that to help shape my sound. So that's my basic signal chain: Anvil, TPA1, 2 Notes Torpedo Wall of Sound, 2 EQs. That is the signal chain for my guitar sound. And hopefully you're asking because you like my guitar sound. But the only thing that you would have to pay for in that signal chain is the TPA, 2 Notes Torpedo Wall of Sound plug-in. So, and pretty inexpensive. Wooden Tank says he likes the album. I'm guessing he or she likes the album When Fire Engulfs the Earth by Dark Oath. I don't know Dark Oath. I am going to take a note of that. And I will check that out later, because I do like listening to music, which shouldn't come as too much of a surprise to most people. Is there life after death? No, there is not. Nope. You got one shot. You're in it right now. You got one chance. In this, I'm going to talk about the blues album I'm writing. The blues album is one that if I put it out, I will sing on. It is titled Standing at the Airport Waiting for a Train. And that title, what that references is that it really bothers me. When I hear people, I want to write a book, I want to write a script, I want to audition for a play, I want to learn a language, learn an instrument, I want to do drawings, I want to do paintings, but I'm waiting for inspiration to hit. That bothers me, because there's no such thing as inspiration. There's no inspiration, there's no destiny. You got one shot, it's right here, right now. And so if you're waiting for inspiration, that is like standing at the airport waiting on a train. It ain't gonna come. So you gotta get in, you gotta dig in and do the work. Inspiration didn't write my 66 albums. I did. And I don't want to get, I am almost 52. I do not want to get to be 90. I want to get to be 90, but I don't want to get there and say, why didn't I write more music? So I write my music. Because there isn't going to be a second chance. This is what you got. Great question. So do it. You know what we're going to do now? We're playing another song. It's going to be in B minor, so pull out your phoniums, play along. This is called Beyond the Other Side of Silence. I got a couple. I'm going to back up here. Sepultura is the name of the greatest metal band from Brazil. You know, a lot of people would agree with that. Yeah, absolutely. There's an artist I really like, Michael Whelan. And off of my 65th album, there's a song titled Something in My Eye. And that actually came from a Michael Whelan painting. And Michael Whelan did at least one of the Sepultura album covers. Great artist. And yeah, Sepultura, man, popular band. A lot of people would agree with that statement. I haven't listened to a ton of Sepultura myself. They do have some very good stuff. I don't know a lot of their work. Sour 199G Sauerkraut asks, do I know Gerd Backert, famous Franconian songwriter? I do not. So I'm going to also put that on my list of things to check out, because that is unfamiliar to me. I'm getting just all kinds of crazy suggestions here today. This is great. Guitarista Habista says the guitar sound is amazing and powerful. Thank you very much. That is a very big compliment. This is something. If you're unfamiliar with the story of my 65th album, which is 2 albums back, I just released, actually 1 week ago today, last Saturday, I released my 66th album. My 65th album, I spent about 2 1/3 years on, because I realized that the production just wasn't up to snuff. And so what you're hearing now is pretty close to the production I used on that album. I'd never been happy with my production previous to my 65th album, and I just had to get it right. For certain things on that album to be heard correctly, I had to work the production, and I really honed in my guitar tone on that. And I gotta give thanks to my friend Ray. I doubt Ray's listening today, but he's got a great ear, and we sat down for a few sessions in the studio and kind of lent his ear to it. And he's like, hey, here's some things you might think about. And it's like, oh, he was hearing things I didn't. It really helped. So he was very instrumental in shaping the tones that I'm using. But I'm glad to know that that's coming across to other people as a good guitar tone. Because, you always kind of get to that point where you're like, oh, this sounds good to me, but am I just hearing it wrong because I've heard it so much? It could be a tough one to know. All right. Again, I am the Mad Poet. You are an audience. We are the Mad Poet Society. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate this. We've got people coming in from the UK, Brazil, Bavaria, all over the place. And it's been a really fun show. We're not even halfway done. I probably am not going to make it all the way through all 3 albums, because I do have that 4-hour time limit on my software. I should say my subscription. It's for the application I use to stream to 12 different websites. The multi-streaming application has a 4-hour time limit. So, from which state am I? I am from Washington State, which is in the northwest part of the U.S. The northwestern tip up there, and I'm in the eastern half. I'm kind of right toward the central area of Washington State. It's a desert area out here, a lot of sagebrush, and pretty dry. It gets really cold in the winter, really hot in the summer. And Sarah and I moved out here we were in Western Washington. We moved out here about 3 years ago. It should be 3 years next month. Will be our anniversary of moving out. Got a really great place here. Really happy to be out here. Service Steph. I don't understand the reference on that, unfortunately. So apologies for that. Nonetheless, let's move this forward here. This next piece is called Imminent Decay. Just realized there's something I also want to check here. Okay. Just want to make sure I didn't miss any messages from Twitch. I've kind of been looking mostly at YouTube. That's where most of my juice is today. And what do we got going on here? This next song is called Times of Turmoil. It's a medium-paced piece, and I don't quite remember where it goes now that I think about it. So we're going to kind of just, it's kind of, I don't know what's going on here. Song's in A minor, or maybe E Phrygian. I'm not sure. I'm just going to start playing. What is better, hell or heaven? Well, neither of them exist, so, you know, doesn't matter. I did mention I don't usually talk about religion, but you've probably figured out where I sit on that from a few of these answers. So yeah, they're make-believe. But so what's better, hell or heaven? You know, guitars and pizza. This is Times of Turmoil. I was gonna make another quick little note here. I noticed on that, like I said, I haven't played this album in a couple of years, and I need to adjust the volumes of the clean tone guitar and the synths on that. All right, quick little note there. I've been kind of making these notes. I've been going through here and adjusting all of my various endeavors, so to speak. I've been doing, historically, what I did until just a few weeks ago, I was doing shows just on Friday evenings, and those shows were just one album. And it was a really bad time slot, and I wasn't getting nearly as much engagement, which just makes this really cool that so many people are coming in these days and watching the shows. So I think just about 2 weeks ago, maybe a little more, I started doing a show every day and doing 2 albums. And so it's a lot more, and it's been really fun. This is the first time that I'm planning to do 3 full albums. And so it's a big show. It's really fun. And like I said, this one, I'm just kind of looking at my sheet music here for this next piece. It's an F sharp minor for those who want to play along on their violas. Football, baseball, or hockey. You know, I don't follow sports at all. I've always been very much an introvert. So particularly team sports never really applied, never really interested me. So I did a lot of like personal athletics. I'm a runner. In the wintertime out here it freezes, which makes it dangerous to run. So I don't run in the cold season, but it's warming up. I'm about to hit back out in the running. In the wintertime I do a lot of rope jumping, and I'll usually rope jump for like 45 minutes to an hour at a shot. And then I'll in the running season, which is, you know, a lot more of the year, generally about 6 miles a day I'll run, and I'm just never been competitive at all. Like I see other guitar players, like someone like John Lowry or Anna Vidovic, and I'm just like, you know, tip of the hat to you, my friend, well done, because I know that you have to earn that, you know. And so I never see someone, you know, ripping on guitar and they're better than I am and think, oh, I need to beat that person. And the same is like with my runs. It's like I've had a few times, so I'll be, been out for a run, and so someone else, you know, they kind of run by me and, you know, kind of pick up the pace, and I just keep jogging along. So yeah, team sports, because I'm not competitive, just really never had much of an interest for me. I played football when I was like 8 years old. I played soccer when I was a kid. I think those sports are all great. I just personally don't really track them or, you know, pay any attention to them. One year, my buddy Russ, we've been friends for a long, long time. He called me up. He invited me to his house for the Super Bowl. I didn't know it was football season. So that'll give a sense of how much I follow sports, which is literally not at all. Had no idea that it was football season. And so yeah, I mean, I don't even know what sports are going on right now. A lot of respect for athletes. You know, I think athletics are really great. I think it's good for people to be active, and whether that be competitive sports, individual sports, or, you know, just going for a walk, I strongly encourage that. So yeah, I mean, again, you know, tip of the hat to the people who reach high levels in athletics. I really admire things like gymnastics, ballet, which is very athletic. I've done a little bit of ballet myself. I'm certainly, by no means would I call myself a ballet dancer. I've done it more as kind of just a form of exercise. So look, those more individual sports, those are more my style. I did a bit of skiing as a kid and a teenager into my early adulthood. I haven't gone skiing in quite a long time. But yeah, so football, baseball, hockey, no personal preference. They're all pretty cool. All right. So yes, pull out your violas, your double basses, and your piccolos to play along with this in in F sharp minor. This song is called A Path of Shadows. All right. 199G Sauerkraut says, after winter, the youth build a puppet filled with hay and burn this puppet behind the village. And this should be buried in the winter. It is called Taunostran. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right. Is there a similar tradition in the U.S.? It says that is in his village in Bavaria. Not that I know of. Not that I know of. There are certainly cultural traditions out here. And, basically the idea is, burning something in effigy to bring in the new season. I'm trying to, There are certainly effigy style traditions out here. This is one of the problems with being an introvert. Introverts don't like to go around people. And Sarah and I, we are both so introverted. We can just sit here in our house for months, not interact with anyone. And so it's tough for our families because we're like, dude, we ain't coming out for Christmas. We ain't coming out for Thanksgiving. We're not even... In fact, Sarah's going to be out of town on my birthday. And one of her coworkers was like, oh my gosh, you're going to have to get back for Randy's birthday. And she's like, he doesn't care. And she's so right. I so totally don't. And I don't want it to sound like that I represent the normal attitude of my culture or any particular group of persons. But yeah, I'm like so out of touch with everything that's not a guitar or a pizza. So, yeah, no, I'm sure that there are similar effigy burning style traditions around, but I'm the most boring person ever. And it's kind of an interesting thing because, people see this, it's like, oh, this is really cool, and I talk about cool stuff like going out and running 6 miles through the desert. But that's the kind of thing for me that that's where I really get my enjoyment. Like, I'll be out for a run, and on my 65th album, there's a song titled Fistful of Light. It's subtitled The Run, because what I realized as I was listening to that is that song is what it feels like for me to be on a run. And I think it's about 11 and a half minutes, and about 10 minutes in or so, there's this part where it comes down in basically in a mixolydian based out of the C sharp minor. And that part of the song is exactly what it feels like when you're out, you're in the desert, it's just you, and you're running up a hill and you get to the crest of the hill and you just see desert sprawling out for miles, mountains in the distant distance. And it's just amazing. So that's the kind of thing for me, is it's just all about just me and how I interact with the world on an individual basis. So yeah, a different outlook. Most people do enjoy being around people. And most people are what we call extroverts. And introverts are kind of a different breed. And I'm very, very introverted. So yeah. Great questions, though. Thanks for asking all the cool questions, Sauerkraut. This has been very fun. Like I said, I don't think I'm going to make it through all my songs, but I've been totally getting a kick out of this show today. So this is great. This next piece, this is I kind of vaguely remember doing this, and I've got some notes in here about how to play using kind of some different styles. I'm going to see what happens when I try to pull this off. This is in E Phrygian, which the key signature would be the same as A minor or C major. I'm not sure where this is going to go. This is called The War of the Black Tower. got a light going crazy down here. Get my hand onto that one. There we go. All right. We got a question here. This is a good one. What is the most beautiful landscape in the U.S.? Some years ago, I probably would have made a reference to some sort of a mountain area. We've got some pretty stunning mountains out here. The Rockies are amazing. The Cascades are pretty amazing as well. And I've been in both of those. In fact, there's an interesting thing with John Denver, the country artist. He has the song called Rocky Mountain High. And when he testified in front of Congress in the PMRC hearings, he pointed out that that song had been banned by something like 1,500 radio stations because of the word high. And it said, you know, the song is about feeling high on the Rocky Mountains. And he said that if people in the music industry cannot understand what that song was about, the fact that there are different definitions of the word high. There's high as in high on a drug. There's high as in altitude. And there's high as in a sense of elation. He said if radio stations cannot be trusted to understand the difference in those definitions, and certainly a coalition of non-musicians is not going to make decisions based on this kind of information correctly. And he said, clearly anyone who believes that that song is about taking drugs has never stood atop the Rocky Mountains and felt the sense of elation that comes with viewing a starry sky from that vantage point. And that kind of thing is amazing. When I was a teenager and into my early 20s, I did a lot of hiking. I kind of laid back on the hiking as the population in Western Washington grew, because the hiking areas just became so overpopulated with people that it wasn't very fun anymore. But there have been times I've been atop somewhere on the Cascade Mountains. It's the same kind of thing. It's like viewing the stars from that vantage point it's a moving experience. It's the kind of thing that I understand why people believe in an afterlife or spirituality. I don't. I take that as a physical sight, and it's something that is not even the same if you didn't hike up the mountain. If you got dropped off on that mountain on a helicopter, it's not going to be the same. You have to earn it. You have to get there yourself. But I would say one of the most amazing things that I've ever seen is when you're in the desert at night and the moon rises over the horizon of the desert. A moonrise in the desert is one of the most amazingly stunning things it is possible to see. I don't think just in the US, anywhere. It's brilliant. So it's hard to break that down to just one answer, because when you have things like a moonrise in the desert, or the stars in the Cascades, or the Rocky Mountains, or, like also in the Cascades, when I used to do a lot of skiing, there were times you'd be up on the top of the mountain and you look down at the clouds, because the cloud cover is low enough that you've broken out above them. That is a pretty stunning thing to see right there. It's kind of like, what am I doing? Again, that's one of those things that makes me understand why people are spiritual in nature and they have these ideas about other worlds, other lives, superstitions, supernatural, these kinds of things. West Coast or East Coast? Well, I mean, I've always been a West Coast guy. I was born on the West Coast. I was born in Western Washington. Lived here the majority of my life. I did get out a bit while I was in the military. I was stationed in Korea. I made it over to Germany for the birth of my daughter. I was stationed on the East Coast for about 4 or 5 months for a schooling I did, and I had a great time out there. That was at Fort Devens, Massachusetts, and it was about an hour train ride away from Boston. And so I went into Boston a few times, and that I like Boston. Boston is a really cool city. So while I am a West Coast guy at heart, I really appreciate a lot of the very cool things over on the East Coast. So I'm going to say nonpartisan, leaning toward West. We'll go with that. Now this song is kind of an interesting one from my perspective. This is called The Undertaker's Daughter. And when I put this album out, I actually recorded the song twice. Once with electric guitar and once with an acoustic guitar. And I really liked them both. I ended up putting the electric guitar version on the actual album. But I did put up a video of the alternate take with the acoustic guitar on YouTube. So if anyone's interested in the alternate take of this, in some ways, I think I like the alternate take better, but they're both good. So I'm going to do the electric guitar version today, and kind of a slower piece. We're in C minor here. This is called The Undertaker's Daughter. Do I like the Dropkick Murphys? You know, that is one of those bands that I've always meant to check out and have never gotten around to it. And, you know, I've heard about them. I've heard good things about the Dropkick Murphys. I couldn't even tell you what kind of music they do. It's like, you know, there's just so much great music. There's so much great music out in the world. I'd love to listen to all of it. But that's kind of how it was even with Blind Guardian, who I mentioned earlier as being one of my favorite bands. They'd been around for a while when I first heard them. And in fact, I think the first album I heard by them was A Night at the Opera. And that's like their 6th album or something. And I was like, I listened to it. I'm like, why did I wait so long to listen to Blind Guardian? It's just the way it is. So yeah, Dropkick Murphys, that's one of those. It's like, I really don't have an opinion because I've just never, unfortunately, gone down that path. So kind of interesting, yeah. How many songs do we got on this album? I think we're moving toward the end here. Let me check this, little of this, little of that. Okay, we got 2 more songs on this album, and then we're going to switch over. Oh yeah, okay. I'm just kind of orienting myself with my sheet music here. Second to last song on the album, not the second to last song of the show. This is called The Silence of the Graveyard. check that on there. Check end of song 9. Quick little note got to take here. Thank you for your patience while I do these parts. Oh, I'm in the wrong part of the keyboard because I'm in the dark with sunglasses. Cool. All right, last song of this album, then we're going to switch over to my 55th album, The Patron Saint of Murders. Again, wherever you're coming in from, thank you very much for being here for the Murder Metal show, coming up on 3 hours. So this is one of my longer streams already. The longest stream I've done is 4 hours. I've gone to the cutoff point a few days ago when I was working on some composition on stream. There's no chance we're not going to make it to the cutoff. I would have to just play Patron Saint straight through without even stopping to even have a chance of getting in time. Actually, I don't think we could make it if I just went straight through. So no big deal. It's fun stuff. I've got a light to fix. Now I'm going to be back and we're going to play this song. Got to be here somewhere. This one got all messed up. All right. Hopefully that's back in a reasonable location there. Okie dokie. Last song of my 21st album. What do we got? It says, I don't have an answer on that one. I'm gonna leave that to other people to talk about. That's a little too political for me. Thank you. Nothing wrong with asking, but I am going to avoid the more political questions. So let's get into this last song here. This is called Broken Bones Sit Upon Shattered Thrones. It looks like I've got someone trying to say something on Trovo. So thank you for coming in from Trovo. This chat feature does not appear to be functioning correctly. So let me just pull over to Trovo real quick and see if I can see what's going on in the Trovo chat. All I'm seeing in Trovo are some bots right now. So if there is someone watching for Trovo, thank you very much for coming in. Unfortunately, I'm unable to see the messages you've already sent. If in fact that is what's going on. I'm not very familiar with the Trovo platform. I've only been on there a little bit. But I'm going to keep this window. I'm going to check over there occasionally while we keep playing and see if anything's going on. With that is the end of my 21st album. We are now going to switch over to my 55th. We did my 48th album, Murder Terminology, and then we played my 21st, which is An Innocent Assassin. And now we're going to kick over to my 55th album, The Patron Saint of Murderers, to finish up the Murder Metal show. This will just take a moment. All right, hey, 199G Sauerkraut, thank you very much. I will keep on rocking you as well. I hope to see you again. You know, I do stream daily, at least until the end of March, and I'll reevaluate my schedule at that point. But definitely hope to see you again. Had a great time chatting with you. Get some good sleep, and yeah, keep on rocking. Okay, so let's do this switch over. Where is my computer mouse hiding at? It's somewhere on one of these 4 monitors, and I can't find it on any of them. Oh, there's that little guy. All right. Okay, so let's kick this over. See if we can get this thing to keep working. Just gotta do all of the little things that I'm unable to properly automate. Some of this stuff just has to be done manually, and that's all right. As I said, there is not enough time to play this full album. I do have a hard 4-hour cutoff because of some of the software I'm using. So we've actually only got about 45 minutes left, and this album is close to an hour. So I'm going to kind of pick and choose which songs I play from here. And we're going to play. There we are. So I'm going to skip the first song, even though I do really like that. That song is called The Birth of Darkness. I'm going to skip up here to the title track. This song, I got the idea from a video game I occasionally play called City of Heroes. And I was on the game, and I like to click on the characters, and people can write a bio for their character. And there was one particular character that I clicked on the bio, and they described themselves as the patron saint of murderers. So right away, I sent them a message. I'm like, hey, I just want to let you know that is going to be the title of my next album. So, here, check out my information. What do we got here? We got someone coming in from Twitch. This is, Osu Gamer. Yeah, you followed the other day. I think you followed during the composition stream, so you probably didn't get the kind of full meal deal out of my setup. Thanks for coming back. It's great to see you. Your internet is dying. Might have to switch to data. Understood. Okay. Hopefully you will be able to keep on with everything. I did mute myself for a moment. I should be good again now. And that is, yep, and you've already got it back, so that's great. As part of the album switchover aspect, there are a few key elements that have to be just right or I get muted. And fortunately, it's really easy to switch it back. But like I said, I'm not going to play this full album because I just don't have time. So I'm going to switch right up to the second track, which is the title track. As I said, I got this from that video game, City of Heroes. And as soon as I started writing this, I knew that it just had to have harpsichord because I love me some harpsichord. Of course, I programmed the harpsichord. I have not got the capacity. I don't actually, have a harpsichord. Fortunately, I've got some really good harpsichord plugins that sound great. And this is it's a pretty fun piece. This is the patron saint of murderers. Oh, and I gotta hit that twice. There we go. checked. Osu Gamer says they checked how much a harpsichord costs. Yeah, they're not inexpensive instruments. I mean, they look like a piano. They sound very different. I mean, that was a very good example of a harpsichord in there. They're generally, I think, a little narrower than a piano. But they're great sounding instruments. Yeah, I mean, you don't see them around very much. Not many people have access to a harpsichord, which is, that's part of the game there. I just got to check something. I realized I am slightly off on something here. So hopefully you will not lose my audio. Hopefully I will find my computer mouse. There we go. And okay, a little of this, a little of that. So one. Okay, and okay, we should be clear here if I do this. I hope I get this. I usually get this right, but not always. I get things wrong. I've been wrong more than once. Okay, I think we're in the right place now. And I'm going to need to do this. All right, that should have me in order, so to speak. Yeah, I turned my primary monitor that's got my sheet music on it. I actually turned that to negative colors. I found a program that allows me to turn each monitor to a negative color if I want to. And so I have regular colors on my 3 outside monitors. My main monitor with the sheet music, I turn that negative. So the sheet music, you saw the sheet music in that last song. It's kind of a nice dark color. So it's not real bright on my eyes in this dark room. And that's even nice. Sometimes I'll do that when I'm composing later at night and I get the lights dimmed and it's a little more comfortable, but it sometimes makes it really, really hard to find my mouse, even more than normal. So there's a balance to everything. All right, so let's keep going here. We got about we've got about a half hour left. So I said we're kind of picking and choosing off this last album, but I'm going to play this next song here, E Phrygian, 155 beats a minute. We're keeping it rocking. This song is called Stained with Sin. And I don't know. Again, I'm not sure. I got something here saying Arena Bot, so I'm guessing that's some sort of a bot. But on my chat thing, there's these other messages, and then there's something about a spell limited offer. Cast spell to support me. I don't know what any of that means. So I have no idea what's going on Trovo. So if you are a viewer on Trovo, my apologies for being unable to know what's going on here, because I don't. No clue. Very sorry for that. Yeah, it just says, yeah, it's Arena Bots. So what's happening is I'm streaming out to 12 different platforms right now. Twitch and YouTube are two very well-known streaming platforms. I'm also streaming out to Picardo, Africa, Facebook, DLive, Nono, Nemo, LiveSpace, Vaughn TV, a few others. And on Trovo, there seems to be some sort of a bot, but I'm not sure what it's doing. It doesn't seem to be doing anything. It's not spamming. It's just kind of, I don't know, sitting there. So, and my only concern is that if there is a real person on, because I'm not sure how to interpret what I'm seeing. If there's a real person on, then I'm not properly seeing their messages on chat, so I'm unable to respond to them. So that's kind of unfortunate. So yeah, kind of, it's something that I don't understand is what's going on. That should be a surprise to absolutely no one, because not understanding is something I do with an awful lot of things. So let's take a look at what we got here, what songs we want to play. I think I'm going to skip Castle of the Crimson Knight. I really like, actually, you know, yeah, let's play the Castle of the Crimson Knight. This is a longer piece. This is going out, yeah, I should play this, just in case Duncan's watching. Duncan and I used to play together in a punk band called Hades Machine. He's an awesome guy. We had a lot of fun on stage together. And, Osu Gamer is also quite good at not understanding stuff. It's a skill that we've developed. Absolutely. It is a hard, fast skill. Okay, I'm seeing what's going on here with this. All right, this makes sense. So skipping around, okay, so this is good. Skipping around like this is kind of tough on certain aspects of the system. So now I need to, oh, how's this gonna work? I don't know how this is gonna work. Intriguing. Okay, I have never done it this way before, so I think what I'm gonna have to do. Okay, there I'm back. Thank you, Osu Gamer. My apologies. I was just talking about how great my buddy Duncan is. This song is dedicated to him. Jumping around like this creates a bit of an issue with one aspect of what I've got going on. So I'm kind of trying to fiddle around with that. And okay, oh, I think I'm kind of starting to put a little bit of a picture together about Trovo. It looks like there's some sort of a game that gets played along with your stream. So the arena bot is giving information out about what's happening in the arena of the game. I'm gonna have to look this up. I've got wacky stuff going on here. So thank you for bearing with me. Nonetheless, Duncan, I hope you're out there. Wherever you are, man, I hope you're doing well. This is going out to Duncan. This is called The Castle of the Crimson Knight. Oh, now what do I got wrong? And Osu Gamers has got to wait for the bot to do the thing. No worries. Okay, so I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do here. I really want to play Voices of the Soulless. I think I've only got time for 2 songs, so I kind of got to take a look at what we got here. We're definitely going to skip Vulture Awaits. Oh, let me get my other glasses. What do we got here? Skipped Angel, Unspoken Malice. I think what I'm going to do here, I'm going to skip up to song number 10. I'm going to play 10 and 11. That's Six Scars and Voices of Soulless, and that's going to be the end of the set. So I got to knock a couple of things out here. Oh, where is... This is an interesting bit of stuff I'm working with here. Okay, so that's Six Scars. I'm going to kill that. Okay. I'm gonna have to kill this. And if I've got that right, we should work things out here. Okay. And close that. I'm gonna have to come back in and undo those when I get done. All right, so 2 songs left for the show. Again, wherever you're coming in from, thank you very much for being here. You are greatly appreciated. I've had a great time here. This is the longest music concert style show that I have done to date, and actually that includes my in-person shows. I think most of my in-person shows have never gone more than about 2.5, maybe close to 3 hours. So it's been a very good time. Again, Murder Metal. I will be back tomorrow. Don't know what I'm going to play. It'll be a little later in the day tomorrow. I do have students. Probably more like evening time in the Pacific time zone, closer to 4 or 5 o'clock. Not sure which albums I'm going to play. Not sure what's going to happen. I might even do a composition stream. I don't know. I'll figure that out tomorrow. So we got 2 songs left. We got 15 minutes. I think I can push them both in. This next one is titled Six Scars. Where have I performed in person? Mostly over in Western Washington. I haven't done any out here in Eastern Washington. Yeah, they've all been in Western Washington, actually. A lot of the historic Everett Theater, I think I performed there like 22, 23 times. A lot of the bars and clubs around the area when I was working with Hades Machine, the punk band, and I've played with a few different rock and metal bands as, different levels of, participation, guest member, full member, and so yeah, Western Washington mostly. I haven't done an in-person performance since moving to Eastern Washington, just because, I'm in a small town. It's not some great area for, I'd have to drive out to Spokane or Ellensburg or something like that to actually find gigs, and I don't want to do that. And I really like playing online. These are, because my setup really works for me. It works awesome. So, all right, we may not even make it through this song. I'm going to jump right into it. In case we get cut off, thank you very much for coming out to the show. I may or may not see you when I get done with this. Let's see how far we can make it. This piece is called Voices of the Soulless.